Hello friends, welcome back to the video lessons on electronic measurements. Till now we discussed or we solved a few example problems on bridge circuits, simple example problems. Then we will see the next topic, that is advantages of digital instruments. On completion of this period, we will be knowing about what is a digital instrument and what are the advantages of digital instruments and what are the basic building blocks of a digital instrument, that is A to D converter, signal processing unit, and display unit. Basically, what is a digital instrument? It is a measuring instrument which displays the values of electrical parameters like voltage and current as discrete numerals, that is, as discrete numbers, instead of pointer deflection over a calibrated scale, as in the case of analog meters. In analog meters, the measured quantity is displayed as pointer deflection over a calibrated scale. But here in digital instruments, the measured quantity is displayed as discrete numerals. And what are the advantages of digital instruments over their analog counterparts, that is, analog instruments? First one, it reduces human reading and interpolation errors. What is human reading error? Suppose, let us assume that we are measuring current on a DC ammeter having a range of 0 to 10 milliamperes. So here the scale would be calibrated in terms of five main divisions with 2 milliamperes each for each division, and one main division will be divided into 10 subdivisions, each subdivision corresponding to zero point 0.2 milliamperes. So each subdivision corresponds to zero point 0.2 milliamperes. Each division corresponds to 2 milliamperes, and we have got 5 divisions on the calibrated scale corresponding to 10 milliamperes total current. Now, let us suppose that the current to be measured is around 1.6. Then the pointer, it will stay, I mean, it will indicate the sixth subdivision on the calibrated scale. Within the first main division, it has got 10 subdivisions. The pointer would indicate the sixth subdivision. Each subdivision corresponds to zero point 0.2 milliamperes. So sixth subdivision corresponds to 1.2 milliamperes. Suppose if the current to be measured is 1.2 milliamperes, it would indicate sixth subdivision. But for the human operator who is noting down the value, he may not be able to differentiate between sixth subdivision or seventh subdivision. Sometimes instead of six subdivisions, he may measure it as seven subdivisions and he will calculate it to be 1.4 milliamperes instead of 1.2 milliamperes. So there is an error. This error is because of human reading. He is not able to identify the exact location towards which the pointer is indicating on the calibrated scale. And one more error in human reading comes out to be interpolation. That is, to judge the position in between two readings, in between two subdivisions. Suppose if the current is 1.33 milliamperes, the pointer would indicate the space between sixth subdivision corresponding to 1.2 milliamperes and seventh subdivision corresponding to 1.4 milliamperes. In between those two, if the pointer is showing some position, we will not be able to identify what exactly is the value of current indicated by the pointer between 1.2 milliamperes and 1.4 milliamperes. We cannot judge because the space between two subdivisions is very narrow, and that corresponds to zero point 0.2 milliamperes, and within that small space we cannot judge what exactly is the pointer reading. That is called as interpolation. So first one is reduces human reading and interpolation errors, and second one is eliminates parallax errors. What is a parallax error? Already I told. When the human operator who is noting down the reading observes the reading exactly on the top of the pointer, he can note it down correctly. Suppose if the human operator takes down the reading looking from left, he may read it more than the actual value. If the human operator is taking down the reading looking from right, he may note it down a little lesser than the actual value. So that is called as parallax error, the error due to angle of vision. So using digital instruments, parallax error is eliminated. Why? Because the value is indicated as a discrete numeral. If it is 1.3 milliamperes, there you can see 1.3 directly. There is no question of ambiguity or doubt or even calculation or interpretation or interpolation. All this is not necessary. Directly you can read the value. Increases the increases the reading speed. That is because the reading is available directly. You need not note down which subdivision towards which it is pointing out, or in between two subdivisions where the pointer is showing. All these interpretations we need not meet. Straight away we can note down the reading. And high accuracy up to plus or minus 0.003%. A measured value, say for example 1.5 milliamperes, can be as correct as 1.4997 or 1.5003. So the error is almost negligible when compared with the actual value. So accuracy would be very high using digital instruments. Then processes possess a good reliability and repeatability. What is reliability? We can stick on or we can rely on the value what is measured. That is called reliability. Because the accuracy is very high, automatically the digital measuring instruments are more reliable. And repeatability. Use the digital instruments as many times as you want to measure the same variable, either voltage or currents. If the value is not changed, then even if you measure 100 times, it will give the same value. That is called as repeatability. And resolution, precision is a measure of repeatability. This we have already discussed in the beginning classes. So digital instruments are more precise. Why? The repeatability is more. Next is output is available in digital form for further processing and recording and remote transmission. So here the output can be taken out in digital form and it can be given to another unit, a processing unit, or it can be recorded on a memory unit for later use, or it can be transmitted to another place by using coding techniques. So here the output of the measuring instrument can be recorded and processed in a processor and can be transmitted to remote areas also. Whereas in case of analog instruments, all these facilities are not available. Next, high input range starting from plus or minus 1.0000000. That is, it is accurate to 10 power minus 6th part to 1000 volts, 1000.000. Generally, analog instruments cannot be used for high voltage measurements because of the galvanometer used in that, and the coil used in the galvanometer may get damaged by high currents. But whereas in case of digital instruments, you can conveniently use the digital instruments to measure starting from 0 volts to 1000 volts. And power consumption is very low. Power consumed by a digital instrument for its operation, that is, for it to perform measuring operation, is very low. It consumes very low power. And wide range of frequency response and measurement. We can measure DC voltages and currents. We can measure AC voltages and currents. And even in AC, we can measure voltages ranging from very low frequencies to very high frequencies without any error. Next, no loading effect due to high input impedance. This we have seen in even electronic voltmeters also. Even in electronic voltmeters also, this we have seen. High input impedance, and as a result, loading effect would be zero. And because of this high input impedance, the sensitivity of the instrument would be very high. Because of high input impedance, the sensitivity of the instrument would be very high. And the basic building blocks of a digital instrument are, naturally, input is analog one. This cannot be considered as a black. This is the input signal. The first block is analog to digital converter. The external analog signal is applied to an analog to digital converter to produce a digital equivalent of the given analog input voltage. That digital equivalent of the analog input voltage is given to signal processing unit. Here we have got digital data in terms of zeros and ones. That data is processed in a signal processing unit. Particularly, a microprocessor would be available here. And according to the programming, the processor performs arithmetic or logic operations on the analog input. And the output of this processing unit is given to the display unit. Display unit takes the input from the signal processing unit and produces a numerical display. Produces a numerical display. A to D converter. Digital instruments, particularly digital voltmeters or multimeters, are used to measure analog quantities. It is necessary to convert analog signal to an equivalent digital signal. A to D converters are used as main elements of a digital instrument. Next, signal processing unit. It makes use of microprocessors for processing the digital signals. Digital decoders and drivers are used to interface digital output from A to D converters to the display unit. So the output of A to D converter is processed, and using decoders and driver circuits, it will produce an output which drives the display unit, to produce a numeric display. That is, the output would be in the form of numbers. Digital meters use numeric LED display or LCD display for showing the reading of measured quantity. Both the LED and LCD displays are in a 7-segment format. Now here you can see a 7-segment display. Here we have got 7 segments or 7 bits here. The first one here, please follow my cursor. The first one is named as A, followed by B, C, D, E, F, G, and this decimal one is called as DP. Now, in order to give a display of number 1, bits or segments B and C have to be activated. Similarly, say for displaying number 3, segments A, B, C, D, and G are to be activated. B and E and F should be turned off. And if it is 8, if the number to be displayed 8, then all the digits except for DP should be turned on. Suppose if it is 0, except for DP and the bit G, The remaining bits are to be turned on. So this is how a 7-segment decoder driver from the signal processing unit produces equivalent digital output which energizes appropriate bits in the 7-segment display unit to produce numeric display of the quantity being measured. Here in 7-segment display, each digit in the display has 7 separate segments. Numbers are formed by activating the appropriate segments that highlights the number. As I told already, the different bits are named or segments are named as A, B, C, D, E, F, G and DP. The illustration shows the basic layout of the 7 segments in a 7-segment display. The segments themselves are identified with lowercase letters as A through G, with segment A at the top and then counting clockwise. Segment G is the center bar. Most 7-segment displays include a decimal point also, DP, that is a dot, near the segment C. Some displays also include an extra triangle to turn the decimal point into a comma. The decimal point is shown here on the right, but in some display units it would be placed on the left, and even in some units decimal point would be placed both on left side as well as right side. According to the requirement, any one of the DP can be activated so that it will glow. Then, based on the lead connections, 7-segment displays are classified into two categories. First one is common anode type of 7-segment display, and second one is common cathode type of 7-segment display. This is the arrangement in a common anode type of 7-segment display. Here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and of course DP, including that total 8 diodes are there. 7 diodes would be in the form of bars and 1 diode would be in the form of dot. So the anodes of all these diodes are connected to a positive supply, given to a positive supply, and this arrangement is called as common anode arrangement because all the anodes are connected together and given to a positive supply. And cathodes are named as A, B, C, D, E, F, G and DP. Now here this is the truth table of a common anode type of 7-segment display. Now here in this arrangement, when does the LED glow? Anode is at positive potential. When the cathode is at ground potential or negative potential, then only the LED will glow. Generally, LEDs will be connected either to high voltage or grounded. When it is connected to high voltage, the LED would be off, and when it is grounded, the LED would glow. So let us see the truth table once here. For indicating 0, number 0 in digital display form, I told only G bit has to be not G bit has to be deactivated, and remaining all the bits are to be activated starting from A to F. In common anode type of display, as I already told, LED gets activated or LED starts glowing when the bit A is 0, because they are all cathodes. When cathodes are ground potential, then only the LEDs would glow. So here, for the LEDs A, B, C, D, E, F to glow, they are to be grounded. So all the bits are zeros from A to F. And G is connected high. When G is connected high, the cathode as well as anode of that G diode are at the same potential. So the LED corresponding to the position G, it will not glow. When G does not glow, with the remaining segments glowing, it indicates 0. Similarly, check for 1. For 1, only B and C should be allowed to glow. That means only B and C bits should be 0. Remaining all should be 1. So that is given in the truth table. Let us say 7. That means A, B, C. These three are to be zeros, remaining all are ones. So for 7, A, B, C are zeros, remaining all are ones. So that is how, depending upon the combination of the segment inputs, appropriate LEDs glow, giving a particular numeric display. The second type is common cathode type of 7-segment display. In common cathode type of 7-segment display, all cathodes are connected together and the common point is connected to ground, whereas anodes are left open here. In this condition, when input is high, that means when the anode is high, then only the LED will glow, because all the cathodes are grounded already by a common point. So whichever LED has got one input, that LED will glow. See the combinations here. Now once again, this is the truth table for a 7-segment decoder for common cathode type of display. Here, as I told already, G should be deactivated for indicating a numeric display of 0. Here deactivation means 0, activation means 1 in common cathode, whereas in common anode, activation is 0, deactivation is 1. Now here in common cathode, for indicating 0, A to F all are 1s and G is 0. Say for 5, A, C, D, F, G. A, C, D, F, G. These bits are 1. The remaining bits, that is B and E, are zeros to indicate a numeric display of 5. Now let us see for 9. To indicate 9, except for the bit E, all other bits are to be high. So you can see here for 9, except for E, E is 0 and all other bits are 1. So that is how, depending on the combination of which LEDs are glowing, that corresponding numeric value would be displayed using the 7-segment display. Common anode versus common cathode displays. As such, there is no specific advantage of common anode or common cathode 7-segment display over the other, or vice versa. Each type leads to certain applications, configurations based on the logic families. Based on the logic families, suppose if in a logic family makes use of zeros as logic high and ones as logic low, then we have to go for common anode type of display. That means in that logic family, a high bit is read as 0, a low bit is read as 1. So depending upon the logic family and depending upon the configuration and application, either common anode or common cathode type of 7-segment display is used for indicating the numeric values. So this is all about the basics of a digital instrument. What are the advantages of digital instruments? What are the various blocks in the digital instrument? And what are their functions? You can see here a 10-bit IC package of a 7-segment display. Okay, thank you.